What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, coming at you with my hands-on and first impressions video of the Samsung Galaxy A73 5G. So let's get started. Now, this is one of the latest mid-range devices from Samsung. Now, unfortunately, as of the time that I'm making this video, this phone is not officially sold in the US or at any US carriers. However, you can still buy this phone factory unlocked, and I will be linking to that in the video description. Now, as of now, this is the most premium device being offered by Samsung in their A series. Now, I already covered the Galaxy A53 5G, and this phone and that phone have quite a bit in common, but this phone does take things up one step higher. Now, if you're curious about the differences between those two devices, I will have a dedicated comparison video coming out on the channel pretty soon, so definitely stay tuned for that content. Now, before I show you a variety of different things about the device, let's take a closer look and see what all we get in the box. Now, this is a very slim box, and unfortunately there is no wall adapter included. We do, however, get a SIM card removal tool, we get a quick start guide, and we get a double-sided USB-C cable for charging and data transfer. Now, with this device, we're getting a very large 6.7-inch display, and this display does feature Corning Gorilla Glass 5, so it does make it extra durable, which is nice. Now, the display technology that we're getting here is Super AMOLED Plus, and this device features a 120Hz refresh rate. So in general, it's an excellent looking display, and in addition to that, everything is super smooth because of that faster refresh rate. So definitely a nice premium experience here. Of course, it's not quite as good as what you're getting with the S series, like the S22, S22 Plus, and S22 Ultra, but at the same time, out of all the various A series devices, this phone does have the best looking display. Now, the display is 1080p, we have a PPI of 393, there's a 20:9 aspect ratio, so a more narrow but taller form factor here, which does make this phone ideal for going on social media, for example, or browsing the web, because you're going to be able to fit more of your feed in a single frame, which means you won't have to do quite as much scrolling with this device compared to a phone that might be a little bit wider and shorter. And in addition to that, with this phone, we are getting an 87% screen-to-body ratio. So in general, we have very small bezels all throughout, and we do have a hole punch here for the front-facing camera. Now, the front camera with this device is 32 megapixels, and stay tuned for my dedicated review video, as I'll be showing you a variety of different photo and video samples from all the various cameras on this device. Now, the Galaxy A73 5G is offered in a variety of different storage configurations. You can get it 128 gigabytes, you can also get it in 256 gigs as well. And also, when it comes to RAM, there's different options too. You can get it with 6 or 8 gigabytes. Now, based on the region that you're in, you might not have quite as many options, so it really depends. But at least for this device, it has 128 gigs of storage, and then it does have 8 gigabytes of RAM. Now, unfortunately, with the Galaxy A73 5G, there is no wireless charging. However, the device does feature an in-display fingerprint sensor that is very fast and responsive. So we'll give that a try one more time. You can see it works great. So a nice implementation there from Samsung. And in addition to that, this phone also supports Face Unlock. So it is nice that we do have multiple methods for getting into the phone. Now, taking a look at the back of the device, we do have a quad camera setup here. We have a 108 megapixel main camera, a 12 megapixel ultra wide angle camera that can capture images at up to 123 degrees, a 5 megapixel depth sensing camera for portrait mode, and a 5 megapixel macro camera for close-up images. And then not only do we have portrait mode with the rear camera, but then we also have it with the front-facing camera as well. So if you're looking to take a lot of different photos and videos, maybe that's a passion of yours, for example, or maybe you just want to take great images whenever you want to, this phone is going to be great for that, considering that we are getting so many different cameras here, and we're also getting very decent camera specifications as well. Now, here's how things look with the main camera on the device. Then from here, we can switch over to the ultra-wide-angle camera to fit a lot more content into the frame. So the ultra-wide camera is definitely an awesome feature to have. I definitely don't feel like it's gimmicky. At least for me, when I'm using phones with ultra-wide cameras, I do tend to use that feature quite a bit. Especially if you're outdoors, for example, you want to take a picture of a large building or a large tree or whatever scenery is around you. It really is a nice way to really change things up. But then, of course, in addition to the standard camera and ultra-wide-angle camera, we can then head over to the More tab, where we can access the macro camera, and we can get nice and close up and have things be in really good detail. So that's another interesting feature to have there. I don't think it's quite as useful as the ultra-wide camera, but at the same time, it is a good thing to have. Then we can head over to portrait mode, and with portrait mode, you get those nice blurred out backgrounds. You can do the same thing here with the front-facing camera. So there's me right there, of course. And then we also have the option for a group selfie, so you can crop out a little bit to make it a little bit easier to fit multiple people in one front-facing photo. And then we can also take standard selfies as well. So again, in general, we have a lot of different cameras here, a lot of different options. You can see all the different modes available as well. So of course, we're not getting quite as much as we're getting with the S series, for example, but at the same time, if you don't know if you'll really be using all those various features with an S series device, and you kind of want to try out having all the different cameras on a phone like this one, then at least it can give you a better idea if eventually it is worth it for you to upgrade to one of Samsung's top-of-the-line devices. But at least with the Samsung Galaxy A73 5G, we are pretty much getting all the major features that you'd want with this device. Now, as I mentioned earlier on in the video, based on which version of this phone you get, the amount of RAM you get could be different. But with this device, we do have 8 gigabytes of RAM, and the processor is the Qualcomm Snapdragon 778G 5G processor. So as the name of the processor and the device itself imply, this phone is 5G compatible. Now, at this point in 2022, I do think that you could definitely get by without 5G, but at the same time, if you're getting a brand new device, you might as well get a phone that is compatible with your carrier's latest and greatest network. So I'm definitely glad that we have 5G support here, and it definitely will give this phone a lot more longevity compared to if it was just 4G LTE only. Now, as far as the performance of the processor goes, of course, as time goes on, I'll have a better idea of how things really hold up here, but so far so good. I did run a benchmark test using Geekbench 5, and I'll show you the scores from that test right now. But I got a single core score of 776 and a multi-core score of 2906. So what I recommend doing is running this test on your current phone and then compare your scores to these scores to get a better idea of whether or not this device is going to be a performance upgrade for you. But if I had to assume, it most likely will be, because these are some pretty good scores. Of course, the phone is not nearly as fast as a $1,000 smartphone like the S22 Ultra, for example, but at the same time, you're getting a really good value here for the relatively affordable price of the device. Now, video recording maxes out at 4K with both the rear and front cameras, so that's really good. Glad to see that, so that if you have a 4K TV, you can take video with this device and have it be in the full resolution. So excellent job there, Samsung. And with this phone, we're getting a very large battery at 5,000 milliamp hours. Now, in addition to it being a large battery, this phone does support 25-watt fast charging. Now, unfortunately, as you noticed, we don't have a wall adapter in the box, but at least in the box, we do get that double-sided USB-C cable. So then from there, you need to find a USB-C wall adapter so that you can charge this phone as fast as possible. And definitely with a battery as large as what we're getting here, it's great because we're getting multiple days of usage out of the phone with such a large battery. But at the same time, it does take quite a bit of time to recharge that. So I would definitely recommend going for a pretty decent wall adapter to pair up with this phone so that you really can do that full 25-watt fast charging, because otherwise it's going to take a while to recharge the battery on this device. Now, the software that we're getting here is Android 12, running Samsung's One UI 4.1. So definitely glad that we have Android 12 here. What makes things even better too is that Samsung is giving their A-series phones up to 4 years of major Android software updates. So not only are we getting pretty much the latest version of Android right out of the box, however, Android 13 is coming out pretty soon, but to make things even better, Samsung has pledged to give this phone quite a few major software updates into the future, so you're definitely going to be up to date and current when it comes to the software with this device. So that's excellent because it gives the phone quite a bit of longevity. Now, this phone has NFC, which is awesome, so you can make mobile contactless payments using Tap and Pay and Samsung Pay as well. This device also features an IP67 dust and water resistance, which means that it can go underwater for up to 1 meter for up to 30 minutes. And this phone also has stereo speakers. So if you're watching a video or listening to music, you're going to be getting audio out of both the main speaker on the bottom and the earpiece as well. So that's a feature that is definitely a nice thing to have, as it gives you a much more immersive audio listening experience. But now that we've gone over a lot of the highlights of the device, let's take a closer look at the actual hardware itself. Now, despite this being a very premium looking phone, it is made completely out of plastic, besides the display, which is made out of glass. Now that being said though, I think Samsung did a great job making the phone look really nice, and I really don't think they could have done a much better job given the materials that they have to work with here. Now, as far as the long term goes with the plastic build, I'm not sure. I could definitely see it getting pretty scratched up as time goes on. So if you really want to keep your device as fresh as possible, then I probably would recommend getting a case to put on the phone just to kind of protect it a little bit further from scratches and stuff. But I do like this material on the back quite a bit, especially because it doesn't pick up any fingerprints. I really wish all smartphone manufacturers would move away from having glossy backs on devices just because they end up picking up so many fingerprints that it really doesn't even serve a point at that point. But taking a look at the left side of the phone, we have nothing here. Then on the right side, volume up, volume down, also the power button. Then up top here, we have the noise canceling microphone, and then also the slot for the micro SD card and SIM card. And then on the bottom of the phone, we have the microphone, USB-C port for charging and data transfer, and the speaker. Now you probably noticed that there is no 3.5mm headphone jack to be found on this device. That certainly is pretty disappointing, but at the same time, I'm not surprised. The Galaxy A33 5G and also the A53 5G also don't have a 3.5mm headphone jack, so I guess at this point, Samsung is kind of working on phasing that feature out from all their various A-series phones. So if you do want to use headphones with the device, you'll need to get headphones compatible with USB-C, or at least an adapter for the USB-C port, or you'll have to switch over to Bluetooth headphones. And then finally, taking a look at the back of the device, I already talked about this quite a bit, but again, I'm a big fan of this finish here. The phone is available in a variety of different colors, so take a look at the link in the video description to see all those various options. But I think it's a very nice looking phone. It almost looks like it could be a more premium S-series flagship device. And there's even been some S-series phones that arguably don't even have as good of build quality as this one. So in general, I think Samsung's done a great job with the A73 5G, and I'm certainly looking forward to testing this phone out quite a bit more prior to doing the full review on it. But I hope you enjoyed my hands-on and first impressions video of the Samsung Galaxy A73 5G. If you liked the video, definitely give it a thumbs up. But this is Kevin here, and I will see you in the next one.